Hi everyone, this is Prithvi Prabhu, your 16CS309. I'm here to explain about exception handling with an example program. Exception handling. This is about how we handle some exceptions which occur at the runtime execution. That is, we compile a program and everything goes right, and during the execution, if we give something like a wrong input or something, it terminates the program immediately. So to avoid such occurrences, we use this method called as exception handling. This thing tries whether it can be put in, or checks whether it is right or wrong, and if it is wrong, it throws an exception with a warning, and it just continues the program. After that, doesn't terminate the program immediately. So I've created a program here for creating an integer queue with exception handling and interface used. So let's see how it works. This is an abstract interface. It contains three methods: the enqueue, dequeue, and display. So these methods should be implemented as same in the main method, which uses these which implements this interface. So let's move to the main class. This is the main class which implements the interface. So this class should have all the methods as in the interface, and since we are going to use queue, I have created a array which is a string array, because the user may give character as an input also. So we are taking it as a string, and we have to check it whether it is a character or an integer, which I'll tell you later. And after that, a queue will always have a front end and rear end. It follows the policy first in, first out. So all the adding of elements will be in the rear end, and all the deleting of elements will be in the front end. So I've created a position for the front and the rear in the array. This is the main method. Here I'm asking the user for the choice whether he wants to enqueue, dequeue, display, or exit, and depending upon his choice, the respective cases will be called. This is an enqueue case in which the user gives an input, and first we have to check whether that input is a character or an integer. For that, I'm using this thing here, character dot is digit at b dot character at I. This checks each and every letter in a string, and if it is a character, it breaks, stops there, and gives a warning that it is a character. Otherwise, if it is a number, this thing only checks whether it is a number. So if it is a number, it enqueues the number in the queue. Further moving on, this is about dequeue, display, and exit. This is an enqueue method. For enqueuing, it is normally simply adding the elements, but once it exceeds the array size, it cannot be added after that. So normally the first time when we add any element, the rear becomes 0, and it increases to the second position, and after that any element will be added in the rear position. And after that, once the queue gets full, that is all the elements are filled in the array, and if there is no space, it will check whether we can add the element, and if it is not, it will throw a exception here. See, I've used a try catch throw exception, in which, because the array size I have given here is 5, it will check the size of the array, and if the element which gets stored is in the fifth position because the array index starts with 0. So if it is in the fifth position, it will catch the exception that it is out of bounds behind the array. So it will throw an exception saying that it is a queue overflow, that is, it exceeds the limit. Further, moving on to the dequeue method. We have three cases here. That is, once, first when the queue is empty, we cannot dequeue any element from that. So simply we are using queue is empty, and if it is not, if any element is present in the array, it just normally dequeues each and every element. And once every element in the array gets dequeued and the array is empty, we cannot dequeue any more element. At that time, we try for an exception that if the user wants to dequeue there, again, see, the front will be 5. That is, once we dequeue any element, the front gets increased. So as it gets increased, when the front becomes 5, it will be out of the array. There will be no element in the fifth index. So it checks there, and if the front and the rear is equal, same place, it will make the front as 0 and rear as -1, and it will throw an exception saying that the queue is underflow, that there is no element in that position, and we cannot dequeue after that. And this is normally a display method which is used to display all the elements in the queue. So let's see how it works, how the output comes. First, I'm giving a dequeue. It says queue is empty. Now I'm enqueuing some elements. Now we are going to give a character as an input. Say like EEF, something. Immediately it says the given entry is a character. Checks and immediately says that. Further, we move on to add elements. See, when we enter any elements after that, after the 55, as you can see here, it checks and it says the queue overflow, that is, the front becomes 5 there. So immediately it says after that the queue is we cannot add any more elements. So next time if we add any element, again it says queue overflow, that we cannot add that element. So after adding all these elements, when we display the elements, it is like this. And when we dequeue the elements, now we have dequeued all the elements. If I want to dequeue any more element, it should show queue underflow, that is, we cannot dequeue any more element from that. See, it is showing a queue underflow, we cannot add any more elements. And this is how this exception handling works. As you can see here, immediately after the front becomes 5, it says the queue is overflow. After that, you cannot add any more elements. This is how this exception handling is used in Java. Thank you.